Can a subtle shift really make a big difference in your business and in your income? Our guest today says absolutely yes. Bob is the author of a number of books on sales, marketing, and influence, with a total book sales well over 1 million copies. His book, The Go-Giver, co-authored with John David Mann, has sold over 500,000 copies and has been translated into 21 languages. Bob is an advocate, supporter, and defender of the free enterprise system. Bob is an advocate, supporter, and defender of the free enterprise system, believing that the amount of money one makes is directly proportional to how many people they serve and add value to. Believing that the amount of money one makes is directly proportional to how many people they add value and serve. Get your copy of Bob's books today and join the Go-Giver community at thegogiver.com. Hi, Bob. Welcome to Savvy Business Radio for our Heartbeat of the World video series. We're grateful to have you here. You came here, oh my gosh, I think 4 years ago we had an interview together. Yeah, and you talked about the Go-Giver book, and you're going to share your Go-Giver community and books, because you don't just have one. You have a whole community, several books around this whole lifestyle, actually. It's really a lifestyle that can not just serve business owners, but anyone out there can apply these principles to their life and make their life better. So before we go to that, share with our audience a little bit about your background, how you came to helping people and being the Go-Giver guy.
I began as a broadcaster, actually, first in radio as a sportscaster, and then I was a news guy, worked my way up to the late night news anchorship at a very, very small ABC affiliate in the Midwest United States. Wasn't particularly good at it. I could read the news, but I was very young. I was, I think, 24 years old and had no idea of the news, and I didn't really care. I was really a sportscaster who was put into a news position, and I was probably even too positive for the medium even then. I think my idea of a good newscast opening would have been to say something like, "Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Burg. In the news tonight, everything's great.
Everything's great.
We'll let you know."
I want to hear your brand of news.
and so I was not long for the news business. So I graduated into sales. The challenge was I knew nothing about sales. And so in the training where I was first working was, we'll say, negligible at best. And so I floundered for the first few months. And then one day I'm walking into a bookstore and I see a section on sales. I never even knew there was a section on sales because I never knew there was anything written on sales. I hadn't been educated about that. Yeah. And I remember coming in, no, this is almost it's more than 30, it's almost 40 years ago now. I remember coming across Tom Hopkins' book, How to Master the Art of Selling.
Oh,
which,
wow.
by now a classic. And I remember that giving me hope, just seeing the title, How to Master the Art of Selling. There's an art to this. There's a way to do this, a methodology, and there was. And I studied Tom Hopkins and Zig Ziglar. Those are my first two. I just read everything I could about them, and I went to one of Zig's conferences, and I just ate that whole thing. I loved it. Very quickly, my sales began to really go through the roof. Wow. And the thing is this, it's not that I was really any different from when I first started to the few weeks or a month or a couple of months later where my sales, it was that now I had a system, right? What is a system? I mean, I define a system personally simply as the process of predictably achieving a goal based on a logical and specific set of how-to principles. The key being predictability. If it's been proven that by doing A, you'll get the desired results of B, then you know all you need to do is follow A and keep following A, and you'll eventually get those desired results of B. And that's what I did. And I just continued to study sales, work my way up to sales manager of a company. Eventually, I began teaching others and other companies what was working for me, and eventually kind of segued into a business doing that. And I've been doing that for quite a while now.
Well, and as you might know, in Savvy, one of the top things we get asked to have shows on are money and sales, being very important to the lifeline of any business.
Oh, absolutely.
Having sales. And it's interesting because Pendar, the mentor in your book, was there any type of person, a real live Pendar in your life?
Well, John David Mann, my awesome co-author, he and I both were familiar with very familiar. We'd read a bunch of his books, knew him personally, had shared the platform with him. A guy by the name of Bob Proctor, who spoke on prosperity and wrote some great books on it and so forth. And we kind of pictured Pindar as looking like Bob, the elegant, kind of real stately with the deep voice and the right. And so we kind of modeled Pindar off of Bob just as a starting point to do that. And we pictured every time Pindar would be in a conversation, we pictured, him speaking. If we could have, if the book was a movie, we'd want Bob Proctor to star as Pindar.
Aw, that's fabulous. And it's funny because
he's a great guy.
Oh my God. I mean, I haven't seen him in person, but I've seen all his videos and he's tremendous.
Magnificent.
But what got me about that is, like Joe in the book, and like a lot of people, you think you're doing the right thing and you're beating your head against the wall saying, why is this other guy like Pindar kicking it through the roof? And he seems to not even put any effort into it. And that's how your book really goes into Pindar teaching him the principles of the go-giving way, because you can really go push, push, push. I'm going to go get the sale, 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 and really be pushing banging your head against the wall.
Yeah, and it's not because you're working hard that you're failing. It's just you're not doing the right things in the process.
Yeah.
We often say, because with the title, The Go-Giver, people a lot of times think that the opposite of a go-giver is a go-getter. We say, no, we like people to be go-getters. Go-getters take action. Go-getters get things done. And we know you can have, because we're all business people, you and I are, and everyone listening to watching this is, you can have the greatest thoughts, the nicest ideas, the best intention, but without action, nothing's going to happen. So we want people to be go-getters, people of action, and go-givers, which are people who are totally and absolutely focused on bringing value to others. Be a go-getter and a go-getter. Now, what we don't want is for people to be go-takers. Oh, that's the opposite of a go-giver. A go-taker, that's the person who feels almost entitled, if you will, to take without having added value to the person, to the process, to the situation. And those are the kind of people who tend to feel very frustrated, because as hard as they might work and as much as they may attain some success, sometimes it typically is very short lasting because it hasn't been built on the fundamentals. And Joe in the story, the main protege, was a nice guy. He was well-meaning, he worked hard, but he was kind of a go-taker. It was all about Joe. It was about meeting Joe's quota. And it's funny, because whenever I speak at a sales conference, one of the first things I'll say is, how many of you would agree with the following statement? Nobody's going to buy from you because you have a quota to meet. And we all laugh because we all know it's true. No one's buying from any of us because we have a quota to meet, because we'd like to make the money, or even because we're a really nice person who believes in what we do. They're going to do business with us because they believe they'll be better off by doing so than by not doing so. And that's the only reason they should buy us. And so what that does is it makes it so it creates the environment where for someone to be successful, they must focus on that other person. They must focus on providing value to others, which is why John David Mann and I say that money is simply an echo of value, under to values like them.
Absolutely. And it's an interesting question. Once someone said to me, what do you offer in your services? And some people as sales reps or business owners will be like, well, what do I offer? Because really, isn't that where the true value of whatever you're giving really comes from, is knowing what are you offering someone?
It is. It in the Go-Giver Leader, Aunt Elle, who was the main mentor, she said to Ben, she said, Ben, ask yourself this question: what do you really have to offer them? Right? And here's something Ben understood, and this is or not understood right there. He came to understand it through the story. This is something that all of us as salespeople, we need to understand, that value is always in the eyes of the beholder. And the only way we can possibly know what they will find valuable about our offering is to discover it. And we discover it by asking questions. And we discover their needs, their wants, their desires first. And only at that point are we in a position to then connect the benefits of our product or service, what we have to offer, with what they need, want, or desire. And that's what selling basically is: discovering what the other person wants, needs, and desires, and helping them to get it.
Yeah. And that's fascinating to me, just like a lot of other business owners. I made the mistake of going to events and going, here, take my card. Oh, yes, I want to help you. Yeah. And everyone was doing the same thing. Before you all know, we all went home with 150 cards and we didn't know what to do with them. We didn't remember any of the faces, any of their needs, any of who they are as people. And then I began to realize over a couple of years span that really this is really building relationships that take time. I mean, people don't just trust you overnight. They got to get to know who you are. And so what's happened to me, I think 2 years ago, someone came to me and was thinking of doing advertising for a big event, but she said, this event doesn't sound like it matches my product. And I thought about what she used, and she told me about what she was doing. And I said, you know what? Because she's a fashion guru. I said, you know what would work better for you is we're having a big fashion event where we're going to be interviewing in the back. And I think that would suit you a lot better. And if not, I know these other parties that all their show is all about fashion. And so she sent other people my way going forward because when you do it like that, you're actually just building a relationship. You're not trying to get.
Absolutely. It's right. You're putting her interest first.
Yeah.
And that's the key. And people think, well, isn't that just a nice way? No. Placing the interest of your prospective customer first is great business. Because first, if you don't have what they really need, want, or desire, you're either not going to get the business, and even if you did, you shouldn't. Okay. So you should, right? But so I would rather fix them up with someone who can serve them. And when you're willing to do that, that comes through when you're truly willing to put their interest first, so that when you do genuinely feel as though you do have the solution for them, you're much more believable. You're much more trustworthy in their mind, because you know you're going to do what's best for them. Yeah. It also means that they're going to be much, as a matter of fact, I just did a blog post at the Burg.com post about a woman who, this is actually a few posts ago, who was a mortgage broker. And somebody came to her and she wasn't able to help the person, just didn't have the particular product that this person needed. And she recommended her to another bank in that area. Do you know that over the course of the next 3 years, she received 30 referrals from that woman, 30 that actually took mortgages?
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
So it's not about, and we have a incident in the story in The Go-Giver where Joe referred someone to someone else. And sometimes people take things too far in terms of how they interpret something. So they say, oh, so Bob, are you saying we should be, looking to give away our business? No, no. I mean, if you do that, you might as well not be in business, right? No, but we're saying that when it's appropriate to refer someone else. I remember the time I got a call from a conference. They were having a conference. Hey, can you come and do a program on time management? I said, do a program on time management. I need to attend that program. But I said, fortunately, I know people who do that program, and I could refer. Now, I'd have been crazy to take that, right? Okay, so, and it would not have been serving the customer. So, no, we've got to do what's in our wheelhouse. No, we don't want to give business away, but we will if it's in the best interest of the customer.
Yeah. And this is interesting. A couple of years ago, oh my gosh, it's probably 5 years ago already, that I had a client come to me that was in a really bad spot. And I knew I was not the best person for them. And I ended up sending them somewhere else. But my friend said, it seems like you're giving up, that you just surrendered. That's a really bad idea. You're going to go out of business if you keep doing that. There's a time when you need to let go, and letting go doesn't mean you're giving up.
Of course not.
Yeah. So,
but people, I'm sure she didn't realize the full situation. Yeah. And as human beings, people we all do this. I certainly do this. We make major decisions about things based on very limited information. Yeah. And so, so people will say things that, maybe aren't really accurate. And we have to just kind of know this is what we're, about.
Well, actually, in negotiating with someone, even in sales, what is again, as you said, it's not giving away your business. It's actually looking out for the best interest of both of you.
Sure.
So it's not just it's a win-win, as they
like to say. You want it for it to be a win for you. It's got to be a win for that other person.
Absolutely. And you had talked about in your book, and I don't want you to go into all of them because then, they'll be like, I got it. I don't need to get the book. No. You share some principles on the Go-Giving way. Share a couple of them with us.
Well, there were 5 laws, and they were the laws of value, compensation, influence, authenticity, and receptivity. And it takes all 5. They all work in conjunction. It's not a matter of 1, 2, 3, or 4 of them, but putting them all together, or else it's gonna not. You can't reach the full potential, of success. And the first one, the one on value, is basically, and we've been really talking about that. It's just having such a focus on making that experience for that customer so amazing that they feel as though they receive much more in use value from your product or service than what they paid. In fact, when you think about it, it's basic economics. People will exchange their money for that which they feel is of greater value than the money they're exchanging it for. But of course, we make a significant profit as well, because our cost of goods sold and all the other aspects of it are, obviously, we get that for a lot less than what we sell it. So in a free market-based exchange, meaning no one's forced to do business with anyone else, there should always be 2 profits: the buyer profits and the seller profits, because both the buyer and the seller come away from the transaction significantly better off than they were before the transaction.
Well, you know what? Yeah, I got to stop you there, because I've heard so many coaches in particular come to me and say, hey, I charge $20,000 and I think that's a good fee for me, but people aren't paying it. And then they're like stuck. Where do you decide where do you find where the sweet spot is between your true value of what you're offering and what the cost should be?
Well, remember, ultimately the marketplace sets the price. It's because it's always, what they're willing to pay and what you're willing to accept. Okay, so the marketplace, but let's take it a step further. We may think that because people don't want to pay as much as we want to charge, that we cannot get that fee. But I'm going to disagree with that, because let's say that that the value you're providing them is worth much more than what they're paying. Okay. If you're not getting that fee, there's a couple reasons. One is you don't, where it really counts, believe you deserve that fee. Okay, I mean, let's face it, our beliefs are never going to allow us to do anything more than what our beliefs tell us we're worth.
Yeah.
But there's another thing too. You may simply not be communicating the value appropriately. You might really believe you're worth it. You might believe your product or service, or you might believe you should be getting that 20,000 or whatever it is your chart, what have you. But remember, value is always in the eyes of the beholder. You've got to be able to communicate that value so that this person feels there's no question about it. It's worth much more than $20,000. So the question goes back to how. Again, you first need to do discovery. You first need to find out. Harry Brown, one of my great mentors, used to say that people would always ask him, how do you motivate someone to buy? And he always said, you don't have to motivate anyone to buy. They're already motivated. Your job is to find out what they're motivated by and give it to them. Now, again, that assumes you have what they want, need, or desire. So you've always got to discover, what is it they need? What do they want? What do they desire? And you've got to ask the proper questions to discover this. Now, I can't give you the questions because they're different for every business. But you should know what they are for your business in order to be able to have this person tell you what it is.
Yeah. Well, that's fascinating, because I've heard from a couple of people, one guy that came last year on my show, that one of the biggest mistakes business owners or sales reps make when they go into a sales presentation is they never stop talking. They want to get through all the power slides and all my presentation about how great and wonderful this is without realizing, shut up, let the other person talk.
Well, that's the biggest mistake salespeople make.
Yeah.
We present our product or service, and what we've got to understand is that it's never about the product or the service. Now, the product or service is important, of course. It's got to work. It's got to be great. It's got to do everything it's supposed to. You should guarantee it. Well, absolutely. It's just not what it's about. Okay. The sale is not about the salesperson, and it's not about the product or service. It's about the buyer. It's about them. How are they going to utilize the benefits or the value that you are providing them? And you can't know that if you start presenting before it would be like a doctor prescribing something before he or she has asked, where does it hurt?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, exactly. Here, let me just give you this medication. We'll see which one works later. And then
These medications are great. I mean, this cures this and that and blah, blah, blah.
yeah. So what I'm finding, what would you tell a new business owner or a new salesperson getting started in the company and they just want to be like the best salesperson, just like Joe, but how do they even get going? Because they just want to get out there and sell, sell, sell. What would be your top advice for them?
Well, you've got to discover what the process is, you know, in your type of business. You've got to find the way to get in front of the people who are your you know, your prospects, your best prospects. You've got to find a way to build the relationships with them. And then, you know, once you do, and once you're in front of them, now you can do your presentation. But when I say presentation, you've got to ask the right questions and listen. And what I would say to this person is go to whoever you know who is already very successfully doing what you're doing and find out how they do it.
Yeah. And like Pendar, that's what he got connected with him. Thank God, because that has got him back on track as a salesperson. And because he was working very hard. And as you said before, working hard does not necessarily mean you're going to get results if you're not working correctly.
Right.
Yeah, so it has to be correct action to lead you to, exactly. So these were absolutely great books. Now, tell them a little bit about all of your community, The Go-Giver, because it's not just one book. It's several books, and it's a whole community. Share that with everyone.
Well, the first one's The Go-Giver, which is the original parable. And then John David Mann and I wrote Go-Givers Sell More. And this is sort of the it's not so much that it's a how-to. My book, Endless Referrals, is more of a how-to. But Go-Givers Sell More sort of is the application aspect. How do you take all 5 of those laws? And we gave real life examples from people who utilize these, some of them well before they ever read the book and others after they read the book, and so forth. And the next one was the Go-Giver Leader. And that's been a big seller. But what happened was we first had the book titled, It's Not About You. Yeah, we thought, what a great title, because that's like, you know, law number 3 from the Go-Giver. People will get it. And you know what? People didn't get it. And again, it wasn't their fault. It was our fault for not understanding. I mean, when someone said to me, well, Bob, think about it. The book's title is It's Not About You. You know, why would I want to get a book that's not about me? You know, and that's a good point. But also, you can't really, the Go-Giver has sold a lot of books because people give them as gifts. And you can give a book called The Go-Giver to someone, and it's a compliment. You can't really give someone as a gift a book called It's Not About You, right? It's like giving them a bottle of mouthwash or something. So we actually changed a tiny bit of the text. We added a Q&A and a discussion guide in the book. We changed the title to The Go-Giver Leader, which of course is also more congruent with the brand, the Go-Giver brand, and it began selling really well. We have a new one coming out early next year, and it's called The Go-Giver Influencer. And we're very, very excited about that. It's at the publishers now, and you know, we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, so we have a whole community of books, and then we have at thegogiver.com, we have people can join the Go-Giver community, Go-Giver ambassadors, and so forth. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and what's awesome about you, when it's all about you and you change the title, is you cross-corrected. It didn't quite work, but you listened to your clients and probably the publisher as well and said, okay, this is not working and here's why. Some people who have a business will say, well, I like my course. It's perfect. I'm not changing anything about it. Even though maybe all your course needs is a title change, perhaps.
You never know. But that is, I mean, we you know, the people who read the book had very kind things to say about it. We knew it wasn't the book itself. And so it was really our job to ask questions, ask enough people, and listen. And it really came down to, it really was the title. People just weren't interested in the title. Even people who bought the book had told me they bought it because, you know, well, Bob, I know you write good stuff, so I bought it. But if it wasn't you, I wouldn't have bought it. And that was scary. That was not a good, they meant it as a compliment, and I took it that way, and I was grateful for that, but it also told me,
no, not good. I was in the process of writing with someone my first book, and it's funny because I didn't realize how important the title and the cover are. And it's true, when I myself go buy a book, if I don't know the author, I'm looking at the cover and the title are the 2 things that grab me to the book.
Yeah.
So they really have to be on spot. is what people are looking for. Well, Bob, I just have to tell you, it's been fascinating having you back here and such a joy to have you share your wisdom today on Savvy Business Radio. I want to thank you again for coming to, did you tell everyone where they can go to the Go Giver community? BobBurg.com?
thegogiver.com.
Thegogiver.com.
Yeah,
yes, I just want to make sure that everyone knew where to go.
No, I always love speaking with you. So it's a treat for me to do this. Thank you for having me on your show.
You betcha, Bob. Thank you so much for coming to Savvy Business Radio. Have you ever dreamt of having a podcast made about your family, about someone you love, or an amazing figure whose story must be preserved for future generations? Now you can do just that with Family Sounds. Our team of podcasting producers use personal and oral history to create high-quality audio documentaries about families and real-life heroes. We will transform your history into a meaningful story that can be shared and enjoyed for years to come. To learn more about Family Sounds and to receive your special discount, visit en.familysounds.net/podcast and enter promo code SAVVY. That is en.familysounds.net/podcast and enter SAVVY.
Savvy Business Radio and runs in syndication on 8 AM/FM stations nationwide, including iHeartRadio and 6 podcasting platforms. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or to become a guest and find out how we can help you get your message out in a bigger way, call 732-474-7375 or email Christina at savvybusinessradio.com.